I suppose you all wonder why you're here. I'm a man of several hats in my life, but I made a living as an engineer of sorts, test engineer in electronics and software, because I liked it. I have dual brain, right brain, left brain. Made a living with my left brain, but I've always loved to use my right brain for art and just goofing around, really, just making jokes and everything. One thing I found, though, you can't make jokes with a lot of people, because I found out when I was in the Air Force. Yeah, I was in the Air Force, can you believe it? But I was on KP duty. Yeah, I was that low in the rank. So I see this big tub of like what they call GI soap, government issue. GI means military. But anyway, GI soap, and it's all gray, and we put the dishes in it. And I noticed that the gravy on the serving line looks just like the GI soap. And so I made a joke about it. I said, that gravy looks just like the GI soap. And about 20 minutes later, the military police were there. Said, who put the GI soap on the serving line? And I'm going like, you know, you can't even, just say something. And wouldn't it be even funnier if it was real? No, I don't think so. But anyway, um, oh, there's my wife. Hi. Yeah, yeah, I wouldn't be here today without her. So some people are going, darn you, Dot. Yeah, yeah. I quit drinking to be with her because I used to drink a little. Well, for a while, back in the 70s, I worked for a while in a bar on Rangeline when I was here. And I found that that's a good job because you can drink on the job. Nobody cares because everybody drinks on the job. So anyway, I realized I was becoming an alcoholic. So I moved back to California and went to AA there. Because I think AA is better for me in California. Because I went to AA here with a friend who's an artist friend who shall remain nameless. And he invited me to go with him. I said, sure, I've been to AA. So I went and I'm listening to these stories and I'm really getting like weirder and weirder. And like maybe I wanted to drink or something, but no, not that. I felt they needed to get back to drinking because they were so miserable. They're just telling a miserable story of having to quit drinking, you know. And I thought, oh my God. So anyway, it was fun. Oh, I'm a man of several hats. Bonjour. Yeah, I like a lot of the French artists. Manet, Monet, Cézanne, what's that other one? Oh, Picasso. Some people heard of him. Yeah, I do like him. He made it possible for everybody to just do whatever they want in art, and people will think it's okay because he just did whatever he wanted. You ever see the stuff he did late in his life? Just, he probably had Alzheimer's or something, but they still sell for $10,000 or whatever. It's just a scribbly old drawing. It looks like a little kid's drawing. So that's the secret of old age. Just start drawing like a little kid again. Basically, I've always done that. But I got pretty good at coloring them, which helps. I like color. And crayons were nice too, but I think acrylic paint is wonderful. I just love it. It dries fast, so you don't have to stack your paintings carefully and stuff like that. But when you stack them too tight, the paint will peel off when they stick together. So a lot of times I have to repair paintings because of paint peeling off. So if you see any spots in these that have something missing, let me know and I'll bring in my paints and fix them.
He likes to repair them even if they're not broken.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, Margie knows, like when I'm at the gallery, I'll go and paint on my paintings that are on the wall.
You do that every Monday.
Every Monday. I'm still working on this picture of Francis Bacon that I did a couple of years ago. Then I totally painted out the face before I went to Richmond, Virginia, a month ago or whenever. So then having to repaint it when I came back, because I did a Picasso on it, I just, did weird stuff. So now he's starting to look normal, but has all black under his eyes, and he looks super serious, which is okay, I guess.
Not to worry, he'll change Monday.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not finished with it yet, you're right. Yeah, I should just start a new one. That's been my big problem. Just start new paintings instead of keep painting on the old ones. I was looking at that one behind Justin. I like the title of that one. That's called The Four Horsemen of Woodstock. And everybody knows about the Four Horsemen, this used to be. They didn't go to Woodstock, they went to wars and stuff like that. So anyway, having fun.
How did you start, huh?
Start?
How did you start?
Oh, that's a good question. I started when I was little. I had severe asthma when I was a child. I was born during World War II, as if things weren't bad enough. But World War II wasn't good. As people who know history at all know, it was horrible. So you could feel that even as a toddler, that there's something wrong. My dad went in the Army, and we moved around the country. I was born in Carthage, but we moved to Maine and New Hampshire. And he eventually was sent to Greenland, which may become a state someday. But he'd probably really think that is something. But anyway, so he came back and, started life over again. We moved from here to California because at the time business opportunities weren't good here. It was still recovering from the Depression. The war kind of lifted the country out of depression because they had to manufacture so much stuff and supply food and everything for all these foreign countries, let alone our own soldiers. So anyway, he came back and I was depressed, But I remember I would have these dreams, like there's this certain metal bridge I would dream about. And then years later, when I joined the Air Force, for a while I was stationed in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And so I'd go exploring around the area because Portsmouth's right next to Maine and right next to Massachusetts, I think it is. And like there's just a little port there. And where was I going with this? Well, sidetrack a little bit. There's beautiful birch trees in New Hampshire and Vermont and that whole area. And birch trees have that wonderful white bark. And I always remember, because I liked cowboy and Indian movies growing up, because there were tons of them. And I remember they made birch bark canoes. And we have a birch bark tree in front of our house. I would never go in a canoe made out of birch bark. It's peeled all the time. I don't understand it. So that's my engineering side getting getting mixed up with it. But it's neat. And also, I remember I went on a date while I was there, and double date with one of my roommates and two girls. And we went. We were right by a big forest there, and me being really, outgoing and stuff. I go, what do you call all these birch trees? And I go, birch trees? And I go, I don't know why I say stuff like that, but I still do stuff like that, don't I? Yeah, yeah. She has to keep after me and make sure I'm in the real world. So, anyway.
When you started drawing.
Oh, my drawings. Yeah, there's my drawings are over there from preschool. I mean, probably before kindergarten because I had severe asthma when I was real little, and they didn't think I was going to make it. So I couldn't go out and play much, especially because, the weather around here in the winter time, it's snowy, rainy, cold, everything. So I had to stay indoors, and naturally I was getting antsy and probably driving my mother crazy. So she got this idea. She gave me a tablet of blank unlined paper and a pencil, and I just started drawing. And I remember the first thing I remember drawing is I would make my face go, and then I'd draw it just like that. I could do it from the feelings in my face. And so I think even now when I do drawings of people, it's more how they feel than how they look, to me anyway. So that's a weird background. So I consider myself an expressionist. Margie here is an impressionist. I'm an expressionist. So I relate to the German expressionist and, well, any expressionist. It's just, it's like an emotional release, or it's therapy, really. Cheap therapy. Well, it's not really that cheap, but, but it is therapy. So let's see, what else? Was there more to my childhood? I'm sure there was. Well, I remember my friends in childhood. There were tons of bullies. And I think a lot of it was because we were war children. Our fathers had been to World War II, and a lot of them didn't come back. So I had to deal with the ones who had no fathers, who had no discipline. So I got in fights a lot. It was, until you punched them really good, they wouldn't leave you alone, because in me looking like I normally do, they say, oh, let's get this guy. But they didn't know that I was also like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So I just punch him really good. And then they started carrying knives and stuff. We moved to California, had to put up with bullies all over again. It was a bit harder because there's so many out there. The school was bigger because I went to Carterville School, which back in the day wasn't big, and now it's only an elementary, but back then it was kindergarten through 12th grade. And oddly enough, that was kind of wonderful because I had friends who were like in high school when I was like in 3rd and 4th grade, and they'd take me over to Webb City to some place and buy me chocolate malt. That's all it takes for me to be friends with you is to get me chocolate malt. But it was really nice, to get to know older people and be friends with them. But not so much in California because it was Los Angeles. I think the small towns would be better, but big towns generally, it seems like people are out of touch with their feelings, or they're only in touch with their own feelings, something like that. Because when I go back there to visit stuff, you go to get gas or something, somebody's getting gas right there, they won't even look at you, won't dare look you in the eye, and I'm like, probably scaring the shit out of me, Oh, whoops. Oh, painting. Well, yeah, I drew a lot. And I think I got a paint by numbers kit sometime, maybe in high school. And I had paint left over, and it was a desert scene. I like desert scenes because we've been traveling Route 66 every year between here and California, either when we lived here and go to California, or we live in California, come here and visit. Most of my relatives were from here, a few out there. So I started painting this paint by numbers. With the paint left over, I turned it over and just made up a scene on the back using those colors. Just another desert scene, but I'd seen the desert from car drives, looking out the window all the time. And there's some drawings of that in that little book over there, wherever it is. You'll see a few drawings of the desert. And then I tried to take art in high school. And because I knew, well, before I went to high school, I had my one friend here who was an artist. He drew cars. He could draw futuristic cars, old-timey cars, all kinds of stuff. And he was like my best friend here in Carterville. And Carterville had a reunion about 10 years ago. And him and I met, and we hadn't seen one another in more than 30 years, maybe 40 years. But we got to talk and everything. And it turned out the next month he died, as evidently he had terminal cancer when he was visiting here. And it was just fortunate that we both went to this reunion and got to talk about the old days, because he'd been a really good friend, but he went into science as well. He was a chemist working down in Houston, I forgot what company he was working for or anything, but he had a really important job, and he was a good thinker always. But so it was good to get to see him before he passed. He still has a few relatives around here, but I haven't looked them up because I don't know how I would relate to him really. I never met him before. They've never met me, unless it was clandestine. He snuck up behind me or something. That could happen. I'm easy to sneak up on. Let's see. Arlo's paying attention. He's such a good boy. Sorry, Arlo. Anyway, should I cover more topics? When I was in high school, I wanted to take art classes because I never had art classes, and I still draw and painted. So I'd go into art class, and the teachers, they were really hateful. I don't know if you remember any teachers you've had that are hateful, but they were hateful. And here's my analysis of it. They had went to art school and everything, and they were going to become famous artists. They were becoming the Norman Rockwell or the Rockwell Kent or whoever different ones was around then that were commercially successful. And I felt they were frustrated, and they hated us kids. They just, were just mean. And so I'd drop out of the class and go into band because I'd learned to play drums. And the band people were fun, a bunch of jokers really, but in a good way. And we just had fun. We'd write music and play it at break time and stuff like that. And because I took a harmony class too, where I learned to write harmony. And let's see. So anyway, I tried to take art class again the next semester. Same thing, different teacher, but the same exact attitude, like hating the little peasants who were coming there to annoy them, you know. So I quit that, went back in band again. So then I stopped trying to take art in school. I think it wasn't, well, I did take some night classes over the years, usually life drawing classes as a model. Started in my late 20s drawing from the model and did that for 50 years, pretty much every year. And that just recently dropped out because our friend has MS, and he was the one who always coordinated everything. And well, just the way it goes, I guess. But I hope my friend's okay. I haven't been able to contact him, but he lives here in Joplin. And now I'm trying to remember his name. I know it, but it's like, that kind of thing. That Dave Orton, yeah, great man. Yeah, yeah. Dave's always been a good friend.
How did your painting style change over the years, or has it always been realistic and imaginary? Have you always mixed
I think it's always been that, although I have painted portraits of people and animals that I thought were realistic. And other people often say they're caricatures because that's the way they see them. They don't see the person the way I see them, I guess. Maybe I see people as a bit funny, I don't know. Anyway, this fellow over here, Justin Hale, I painted maybe 100 portraits of him. We'd get together every Friday for a long time, I think it was. And we'd go out and have coffee, and we'd come back and I'd do a portrait of him. And I think there was an exhibit of him, wasn't there? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Maybe there should be.
There should be. Maybe it was a drawing. I did a bunch of drawings of him too, and I think the Post Memorial did a thing of that. That was probably the one I'm thinking of. But we never did the portraits, but he has the portraits. I have a couple of them of you. I just ran across an unfinished one and finished it. You look a lot different. Well, I mean really different because I just made you up.
Yeah.
Remember for a while you had the curly beard? Yeah. I think it was around that time maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I may do that again. I sure can't grow it on top of my head. Maybe I can curl it around.
Oh yeah, loan you a hat.
Well, that fits me.
That's pretty darn good. Yes.
I'd like to hear about your use of color.
Oh, yeah, I studied color a lot. The post-impressionists, a lot of them were really great colorists. There's Matisse and particularly Vlaminck. I'm not sure if he was Russian or what, but he was in Paris. Everybody went to Paris in those days, I guess. But he did wonderfully clashing colors. And so I studied the book that the Impressionists studied, except I studied it in translation into English. And it was by a guy named Chevreul. Something, I don't remember the exact title, was something about the harmonies of color and stuff. And he particularly talked about complementary colors. If you have your color wheel, you have the whole spectrum goes around the color wheel, and the complementary colors are the ones on opposite sides of the wheel, like orange and blue, red and green, yellow and purple, black and white. No, not really. That's not really color, but in a way it's analogous. But anyway, so I just found by using those ideas and playing with them, I just love to use color more and more. And I don't follow shapes too well either. Like, for example, that's Reading's Mill Bridge. Those of you who have been to Reading's Mill Bridge, the right side looks kind of like it, but I painted it red because it's Reading's Mill Bridge, right? And then it got more playful towards the middle. But it was started out there. Margie and I were there when I painted that, I'm pretty sure.
Mine looks a lot different.
Oh yeah, Margie and I painted that Japanese bridge out at MSSU. And Margie's, you could build that bridge from her painting. It's that detailed, and structures right and everything. And on mine, you'd think it was made out of little blobs of paint.
And I loved it so much, I bought yours.
Yeah. I would have bought yours, but I couldn't afford it.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
How do you start doing the cats and paintings?
Yes.
Start doing what?
Cats.
Oh,
Cats and dogs
cats.
and elephants.
Oh, cats and elephants, they're my favorites. I did paint dogs and stuff, and but cats, I have me and my cat over there. It's not an actual portrait of my cat, but we've had several cats, so it's kind of a generic representation of the cats. And then they have here behind Jane, that's called Aftermath of the Cat Circus. The cats really raised hell. They took over everything, collapsed the tent. You can see a woman laying down there, a couple of them, and one running away. There's cats at the bottom of the ladders and stuff too. They probably want to fight over who can be at the top of the ladder. So, and over there in the right, it's maybe a religious moment or something. There's a palm tree and somebody in like Jesus time clothing and somebody with, I don't know, a cape or something. It's not in anything in particular, but just there is that, So it's sort of like a lot of things exist at the same time. But it's like I've always been interested in physics, but if anybody can understand modern physics, it's a puzzlement because they say time is not what we think it is. In other words, they say everything happens at once. Now, I'm glad it doesn't to us personally because it's confusing enough as it is if everything goes, So I don't understand that one, but that's what I understand modern physics talks about. He knows about it. You can ask him after. And oh yeah, dogs are really very talented, as Arlo knows. This is the juggling dog. He's really impressed a lot of the women around him. And a few animals. Even a fish. Well, the fish is kind of looking the other way, but this bird is interesting. She's got a big leaf over her body. It's much more modest than fig leaf. I forgot what's the name of that one. Oh, fecundity. That means like fertility. So it's just a bunch of living things, mostly people. But if you see, there's sort of this entanglement in some of my pictures. Like this is one of the last of that series. called Menina. The reason it's called Menina is because of Velasquez painting Las Meninas, where he has the little princesses dressed something like that, but not in that colorful. And it means little princess. So the entanglement series was because I felt like just everything is a tangled up mess, really. So I have this kind of movement in a lot of the pictures, and it is in that bridge, but there it sort of serves a different purpose. But the other ones, the people are all entangled up in it, like that one over there. And not too many of those are here. I thought I did maybe 100 of them, but I'm not sure now. Yeah, I probably, well, Kim and Margie helped pick out these pictures, and they know the others weren't that good, weren't that lookable, right? Not good to look at. Just depressing, that's
It's
all.
hard to bring them all.
Yeah, there is a lot.
How did you go from the smaller canvases and then transition?
Oh, yeah. When I first was painting on my own, which was always on my own in the beginning, I used to go to Standard Brands paint store in Los Angeles, which really sold house paint and building indoor and outdoor paints mainly. But they had a little art section, a couple aisle or one aisle, and they always had good values on tube paints and stuff. So that's where I get my paints. They were always like marked down compared to going to art stores. Art stores are still pretty expensive. I think with the tariffs, they've gone up even more. And last time we went to Michael's or something, paints were on sale because they marked them up with the tariffs and then put them on sale a little bit lower. But it was still higher than they normally would have been, a year or two ago. So, but you think of the old masters, Rembrandt, Titian, Vermeer, a couple other ones, Goya, Vasquez, there's a whole bunch. They used to grind their own paints to get lapis lazuli, the blue rock, which was very expensive because it's such a pure blue. It's like our ultramarine blue of today. They would grind it up and mix it in with the oil and everything and then use it. But the thing is, the really successful painters, in the sense they made money, they had assistants. Michelangelo had assistants. Leonardo had assistants. They'd be the ones, mortar and pestle. I was going to get a mortar and pestle just to remind me of this, because sometimes you can see them here and there. A little rock pestle and a rock mortar. Yeah, mortar. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. That would be awful, But that's the thing. A lot of those people, though, who did all that, became the great painters of the next generation. So they served their time and got off, So that was good news for them. But let's see, what else?
Can I tell a real quick story about you? Like my perception of you. I volunteer here on Friday afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
And before I knew he was an artist, he would come in and we would talk on Friday afternoons about everything.
Yeah.
And I thought he just took classes upstairs. I didn't realize this. But after I did find this out, the colorfulness of our conversations came to life.
That's right. And your brother, too.
And my brother, Jeff Bond.
I knew his brother before I knew he was his brother. So, and that was really nice, too. Because I call his brother my twin brother. And we're always arguing about who's the evil twin. Sometimes we'll argue that we are or that we aren't. so, point the finger or take the blame. But yeah, your brother's a great guy. And he's a good artist too. Crazier than hell, but no, he's a good
How long have
guy.
you been plein air painting?
I plein air painted from my 20s probably anyway. My sister Donna was a good painter, and her and I painted outdoors some. And then I asked her to paint outdoors again one time. She goes, no. And she says, don't you remember what happened last time? And it was in California, in the desert. And she said there was this big snake, which could have been a dangerous snake, but it probably wasn't because I didn't remember it. Like, I've seen a rattler out there since then, and you notice them. They're kind of well marked, and they hiss at you and rattle their tails and stuff. But she didn't want to paint outdoors after that. But I like painting outdoors when the weather's good, but it's really an awful place to paint, because if your painting is very big at all, it's like a sailboat, whoosh, it just takes off. If your paint's wet, it always lands paint side down, I think. Maybe it doesn't always, but it seems like it. Those are the times you remember. So work on them again, stuff. I've painted outdoors a lot with you and with Kim, with Margie and Kim.
I remember when we were painting a bridge in Arkansas. And you set your chair up on the bank and you started to slide in the green.
That was awful. Yeah, I decided to get away from the bridge, so I go down, walk along the shoreline, and then it starts to get like thick mud. I'm sinking in the mud. You know how dogs do when they have something on, you put boots on them or something. It's like that, so but I sat up there and I painted, and then like Margie said, chairs started to slide over and everything and towards the water. But that painting is at the gallery.
It is. It's a nice
Yeah, no mud on it either. Surprisingly.
And it's not sliding.
No.
Yeah, maybe the horizon's a little weird. Yeah. Well, let's see.
How do you get so many magical things in your paintings?
Oh,
Where does that come from?
well, I don't know exactly, but when I was little, like I said, I had severe asthma, so I did read a lot too. And one of the most influential books on me was Pinocchio. I think this was before the Disney movie. And the real Pinocchio by a guy named Collodi, an Italian, is rather dark. Those guys who kidnapped Pinocchio and stuff, they weren't really in his best interest, So that started my imagination going, among other things. I think I also read Oliver Twist, but there's not a lot of fantasy stuff in that. But, the Brothers Grimm, I read a lot of the Brothers Grimm, and maybe my aunt read them to me when I was little. My aunt was 12 when I was born, and she always kind of liked to look after me. And she started a baby book of all the crazy things I was doing when I was a baby. And one of them was that I would not hold the baby bottle with my hands. I held it with my feet. I don't know. I must have been part monkey in those days. There's some saying, I think it has to do with evolution. Ontology follows the development of the embryos goes through these stages where it looks like different animals and stuff. So it's that kind of thing. It's interesting stuff. So I am really kind of a science guy. I studied science a lot. And in science, when they say something is a theory, that means it's proven by science. Whereas people nowadays go, oh, that's just a theory. It's not true. Theories mean they backed it up with evidence, tons of evidence, that people who read about it go, oh yeah, it makes sense. Or they don't have an argument that fits all those facts to contradict it. Now, evolution scares a lot of people, especially Christians and stuff, but it shouldn't. I mean, still God's world, whatever it is, and whatever God is, certainly more than what we are. And, just to comprehend it all is impossible, really. Except when time is all at once, then we'll know. Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, but I like Darwin, and I kind of like Billy Graham, but not as much.
You've been painting a lot of angels and
Oh, I
Jesus.
love to paint angels. I think that's one of the great things to come out of like medieval art is to paint people, human-like figures with angels floating in the air and stuff. And Margie had this book of saints that I borrowed from her. I was reading about all these saints. And there's this one, Saint Cupertino. I got to do a portrait of him someday because he's my favorite saint. And Cupertino he didn't really have a church, but he had people that he taught or whatever. He's kind of like a monk, I think. So like he would talk about God and different things, and he would levitate. He just got so high off spiritual feeling that he would levitate, or people thought he was, and that was just a wonderful thing. So I wish I could do that, but I'm not as good as him. Cupertino, he's all right, So, but yeah, Saint Cupertino, my favorite saint that I know of. Yeah, he should have been a painter. He should have been a painter. Yeah. Maybe he was.
I think St. Francis would like your paintings a lot. St. Francis of Assisi.
Oh yeah, it's also.
He could talk to animals and fish.
Oh yeah, I'd like to do one of him too. Our friend has a statue of him in his garden. Yeah, I think you probably painted it. I don't know if I have. You had a question, Justin?
Do you do a drawing or a draft before you paint?
Oh, very rarely. In fact, recently I thought I should do that. After all these years, 50 years of painting. But what I do is I figured out what some of the old artists used to do. Because you go in art books, and you look and you go see this Leonardo's preparatory sketch for Mona Lisa or The Last Supper or something. And I found out because when I knew I was going to sell a painting, I'd make a drawing of it. And then I could say that was my preparatory sketch for the painting. And I'm thinking a lot of those guys must have done the same thing because they didn't have cameras. Nowadays, I take pictures. I was in here the other day taking pictures of these because nice lighting in general. It's a really nice place.
How do you generally start a painting? Is it with the backgrounds?
Yeah, I don't like a white canvas. I paint over the whole painting or the whole canvas with some color paint, usually blue, but sometimes orange. Because blue and orange are my favorite two colors to work with. Can't have one without the other, so to speak. And you mix them together, makes nice browns and grays and stuff. All complements do. They make, browns and grays if you mix them together. And it's on the color chart too, it shows that. But I recommend you all get color charts and carry them with you at all times to analyze whatever's going on around you. Even like if it's a person, like I come up to Camille and or to Jane. But yeah, it's studying color has been really fruitful for me because I just love it. It feels alive. It feels like light. You know, there's this guy in Northern California who's famous for painting these little houses with light coming out the windows. I'm trying to remember his name. But anyway, he called himself the painter of light. And he just paints the painter of light coming out of windows. Just not the same thing. Because see, I'm science-based. Light is everywhere. Everywhere there's not darkness, there's light, you know. So, and actually you can see in darkness. Just close your eyes. You won't see what's around you, but you see something, you know. I like just looking at after images. They're very colorful, you know. Like if you're watching TV and it goes to commercial or something, just do this and you'll see the shape of the TV screen and these different colors. But they're usually the complementary colors, basically, which is amazing too. Like blue you see on TV, it come out more like orange or yellow. It's not exactly the color chart, but pretty close. And it's just amazing, really, that colors can be so neat. I wish I had X-ray vision, then I could even see more stuff. Except it probably wouldn't be good. What happened to Superman anyway? But you know, I didn't like Superman that much when I was a kid, but these were all like pop heroes. Most of them came along the 1940s when I was a little kid, and Superman's okay, but there was this other one. What was it? Oh, one of them I liked was called Plastic Man, because it was the early days of plastics being a great thing. So Plastic Man had this suit he wore with black, red, and yellow stripes. You know, like one big stripe, you know, but he could move himself into a flat sheet of paper, sort of, slide under doors and stuff. And when he'd do that, he'd be red, orange, and black sheet of paper going under the door. And he'd transform himself into all these different things. And I thought, that's a better kind of hero than Superman. So,
you read a lot of books, I think, when you were young, and so
I did.
So you draw from the story. So I know when people come into the gallery, you're always telling them the story behind the painting,
Yeah.
like you just did Don Quixote, you know.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful painting.
I did. I read a lot of stories, and when I first went in the Air Force, I spent a lot of time in the library because I couldn't get a pass to go off base and stuff, and I probably wouldn't anyway. I just like to read, so I was reading, especially like Russian novels for a while, and I don't mean communist Russia. This is before then, Tsarist Russia. And the Tsars were the kings of Russia. And they were just as bad as the communists, except they had kingly crowns and stuff. And they generally persecuted everybody. So Dostoevsky was in this movement that was criticizing the government. So he wound up being rounded up with him and some other guys, and they had to dig their own graves stand in front of the graves, and the firing squad came out all in front of them. And Dostoevsky and all of them are just standing there. And at the last minute, they give him a reprieve. And I think that really changed Dostoevsky's life. This was all before he was, doing his serious writing and stuff. And his stuff is pretty serious. And he has a few good jokes in it, but not very many. And even the ones he has aren't very funny. Because he was that serious pre-communist Russian. Oh, I did do a little painting of Lenin, if you know Lenin from the Russian Revolution. Lenin was a very serious man, bald on top and with hair here and a little goatee, and bossy as anything. So I did a little tiny painting of him, which he deserves, a 3x3 painting, So he's there and he's standing like this. And on one side, there's a woman in a white dress. The other side is a woman in a red dress. And it's called Criticizing Lenin. At the time of the revolution, there was the red communists, or the red, I don't know, they weren't called communists, but the red something, and then the white, the white Russians and the red Russians, what they were called. And they were both competing to take over the government. So I just immortalized Lenin being criticized by the red and white Russian ladies, and they're much bigger than him because they're closer to the picture plane. And speaking of picture plane, that is something I should talk a little bit about, because when I study in composition, one of the things you study is how the picture relates to the edge of the picture. They call it the frame, but even without a frame, see, this touches the frame, so to speak, here as part of the composition. That's not a particularly interesting composition, but you'll see almost all of mine, they touch the frame somewhere. Now, I think what that's called, when something in the composition touches the frame, it's called an open composition. And when it doesn't, when it's more like a vignette, a vignette is the extreme of, that's called a closed composition, everything contained within it. This sort of links to the outside world, which I mostly do that. I did like to paint outdoors. A friend of mine from LA, artist friend, we went up to Beach, California, and this painting right here on this corner. There's a painting I did there, and I put graffiti on the trash container, put my name on it. And I was surprised at my own picture here, called Mishmash with Greek Goddess. Yeah, I don't know, I couldn't decide what I'm doing. That's the thing about, I don't really plan my pictures too much in advance, except as I work on them, I develop the composition and develop whatever objects there are. When I was really little, like I said, I was ill a lot. One place we lived had a knotty pine ceiling. Knotty pine has a lot of grain in it and little knots, of course. And so I would look at those and start seeing things in them. And I could just spend hours there studying all this stuff. So now in stains or different things, I can see stuff pretty easily. And it turns out that a lot of the artists from the past did the same thing. I think Leonardo saw stuff in stains, but he didn't want to waste anything, see a stain, make a picture out of it, very ambitious. So a lot of these just started out as smudge.
I think it's fascinating to watch you paint in the gallery. If you ever come in and see him, He just, like he says, he starts with that one color.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then, and it's not just a flat color, it's just kind of mottled color. And
Yeah.
then he starts seeing objects and they start just coming out of the canvas. It's like they're prisoners in the canvas. And then pretty soon there'll be a dog and an elephant, and maybe there'll be an angel, and then there might be a globe.
Well, yeah, that reminds me of something about Michelangelo, who is our greatest sculptor, probably. Sculptor, not sculpture, but anyway, sculptor. Because they said he would select blocks of granite from that famous quarry near Rome, I guess. And in the block of granite, he would see what was in it, and that's why he would select that block of granite that had been quarried. And so that's not what I do, but he did it. I mean, I sort of do that. Yeah, in a way, I do that. I quarry it out of paint and by adding or subtracting, which is like he did. Didn't he do stuff in clay too, though? Clay is additive, and carving is, you know about that, Justin. Justin mostly does subtractive, takes away stuff until he has what he wants. But in clay, you add.
That definitely depends on what I see in the wood, though, what the wood is telling me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't want a square block of wood to try and make something out of it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty often done by artists because it works. But they don't tell you about it in books usually that I know of. You might read about it in a biography of somebody, but
So Jesse, when you talked about being an expressionist and when you do a portrait, you talk about painting how that person feels. So do you recall when you did your own self-portrait what you felt?
yeah, I don't recall too much. But looking at it, I would say very arrogant, It's one of my political posters.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. If I was to run for political office, I'd have to have something like that.
Yeah.
I'd have to update it though. That was, wow, a long time ago now.
Yeah, 99.
Yeah. I have one even older at home. I did 67, I think. And I was really young in that one. It was more colorful.
One, wasn't it?
So what?
That was a pretty joyful one.
It was actually, yeah. And I had pretty good hair. But I had a little bit of hair that came down and did a curl thing like that. And I think it was natural because I don't remember doing that. But I admired it, so I put it in that portrait anyway.
You do a lot of classes, you teach a lot.
Yeah, I teach 55 plus at Spivey here
I know that
twice a month or
you
so.
work with the Alzheimer's patients and such.
Oh, yeah.
Do you enjoy teaching?
Yeah, I do. My method is basically to get people to enjoy painting, as most of them have had teachers like the ones I talked about that I ran across in high school that basically hated the students, and wanted to be famous or whatever. But like the students they've usually been criticized, or some of them just haven't painted in a while because they're older, especially the ones for the Alzheimer's group. And I remember one I just laid out the palette of paint for her, put a brush in her hand, and then had the canvas, mixed some sky blue and moved it, said, "You're painting the sky," and then she just took over from there and painted the whole scene, which was from her memory. Now, I'm not saying it's photographic memory, but it's from her memory. And that's the kind of memory I have. I tried drawing my son-in-law from memory and even my daughter from memory, Doesn't look anything like them, which is weird because I know what they look like. You know? But yeah, when I paint people or draw them, I do go for the mood kind of, but like it's probably my mood being around them. And most people, I like them, so they look pretty good, I think, you know. So, yeah, so.
When we went out to the airport in Joplin and did
Oh,
portraits
yeah.
of the young, interested youth that were going to be entering programs for the Air Force. And they were out there in droves, and Jesse and I sat there with a table and did drawings of them.
That was fun.
And they really did enjoy that, but I think they enjoyed your conversation. Your drawings were always the person. You knew it was the person, but you had such a way of seeing
I
something
think
a
I
little
feel
more
a
than
bond
just
with them.
rightness.
It's like a conversation with drawing or something. Yeah, it's a rapport of some sort.
And through that rapport, you were able to dig a little deeper into what you were doing. And there's definitely a likeness, but there was something special. Have you seen, go through books and you see drawings by Degas of the ballerinas and so forth?
Oh, yeah, I like Degas a lot. Degas, the story I like about Degas is when he gave art classes, right? Mm-hmm. And he gave art classes where you draw from the model. So Degas had the model in this one building and chairs and everything, and she'd be there posed, and then they'd be there for a while, and then they'd go to this other building where they had the easels and the paints and stuff set up, but no model. They had to use their memory. So they had to look at the model in that one building to go to the other. And I think another reason why Degas is one of the greats, you know. He must have done something like that.
And he probably sat there for hours, and we had them there for 10 minutes, I think it was. 10-minute drawings.
Yeah.
So you were able to.
I just love it. Yeah.
And me too.
Yeah.
You were doing great.
Yeah. We drew this one guy who just got out of prison and stuff like that. Really nice guy. Just got out of prison. That's all.
It's an interesting way to get to know people.
Yeah, it is. It is a very interesting way. We owe a lot of that to Barb Hicklin, who invited us to do that when you invited us to draw in the park. Yeah.
And now we're going to go to the senior center and draw the people there.
We are?
I haven't told you that yet.
Oh, good. It wasn't that I forgot. Okay, we'll do that. That could be very interesting. Yeah. Who knows? It might help them some.
Yeah, they're just sitting there. So.
Yeah. Those homes are kind of terrible. They just sit them in front, people in a wheelchair sitting in front of a TV. And I don't even think they get a choice of what's on TV. Could be something they hate, Anyway, they're sitting there all day, except get wheeled for meals and wheeled to go to bed. My dad, his final year was kind of like that. And he would talk to me. He said, I think I'm in the Army again because of the regimentation of it all and everything. He said, they called me back in the Army. Of course, he's getting Alzheimer's or whatever it was. But I didn't argue with him, just go along with it, Because I could have said, Dad, you're not in the Army. Snap out of it. Yeah. Have I talked for 2 hours yet?
Well, you think you're feeling like it's wrapped up?
Yeah, I think I can do Q&A now for a little bit.
I thought you were doing Q&A.
Oh no, I was anticipating questions.
Oh,
Oh, I don't know, did everybody get to ask questions that they wanted? You look like you're gonna ask something, Justin. It does look, see?
Jesse,
She agrees.
we have a right TV station here to interview you and they have to leave.
Oh,
Could you talk to him? And
oh yeah.
if people want to stick around and ask.
Yeah, if you wanna stay,
Because an hour is about how we do it, so.
yeah. Somebody has to watch after me, keep going forever. Oh, thank you all.